What's going on, guys? It's Gendo here, and welcome to episode 3 of If I Had a Hammer. And today we'll be taking on AFC Bournemouth in the league, as well as Cardiff City, who we drew in the League Cup. But before we get to those two matches, we have several things to go over, transfer news and whatnot, how we've been faring in the Europa League, as well as the domestic league. And when I say that we've been pretty bad to start the Premier League, that is the understatement of the century. So far through 5 matches, we've only been able to come away with 1 win, and a very unconvincing win at that. So we are currently sitting in the relegation area at 3 points in 18th place. And we have a lot to go over, so we might as well just get right into it. The next league match right after our live comm was a 3-5 loss to Chelsea at home. Eden Hazard, Willian, and Diego Costa with a hat trick to put Chelsea up 5-0 before we even got a single goal. The scoreline obviously doesn't reflect how poorly we have played, as all 3 of our goals came in the last 5 minutes of the match, as you would only assume Chelsea let up on the gas to allow us to score. Pedro Obiang with a brace and Michael Antonio all getting goals within the last 5 minutes. 12 shots, 7 on target, and most of those shots didn't even come within the first 75 minutes of the match. Chelsea had a firm grasp on this, and we just couldn't get anything going attacking-wise. It was pretty much over at the half as Chelsea were up 3-0, and with their constant pressure in our defensive half, it just was a bad day overall for West Ham, and the slide continued. 3 losses in 3 straight matches. And it didn't get better against Southampton as the Saints continued our woeful start as we were defeated 4-1 away from home. Sadio Mane, Shane Long, and Jay Rodriguez the goal scorers for the Saints, while Dimitri Payet our only goal scorer for us, and he came in the 75th minute. Only 11 shots with 3 of them on target and just above 40% possession. Defensively, we just had a bad time containing the Saints. Midfield just wasn't getting anything up to our strikers. And of course, if you can't get anything up to the strikers, well, Sacco wasn't doing much. Victor Moses wasn't doing much. Dimitri Payet wasn't doing much, outside of the goal that he decided to luck into. But formationally, we needed to make a change, and I switched up from the attacking 4-2-3-1, which seemed to not get any traction, get any momentum going, and I switched it down to a 4-5-1, the V formation with 2 wingbacks. Clearly it was a bad choice as we gave up the 4 goals here. But then we ended our slide with a 1-0 victory over Stoke at home in what I can only consider as the most false victory imaginable. Our only goal came on an own goal from Philip Volscheid in what I can only describe as a failed clearance out of the box. He was trying to head it over the bar, but instead headed it just out of the reach of Jack Butland as he was trying to make a save. And sadly, at this point in time, I was just happy to even get a goal, to even be leading in a match, as we had not done that since the West Brom match. 10 shots, 3 of them on target. I felt that we probably could have eked out a goal of our own, but with Stokes 13-6, I thought that they could have come in and taken the lead, as if not equalized. It was just that kind of match overall. Defensively, there wasn't much of anything on our side. Midfield, once again, still cannot connect the ball from the back to the front. We cannot get any attacking movement going. And I fear that this is going to be a long season if this whole ordeal continues, where we don't have any sort of fluidity within the team. If we don't have any sort of teamwork going, we're not going to be able to win matches. We're not going to get goals. And, well, as you can see right here, we didn't get a goal, but we still won. Very lucky. And, of course, we still had Europa League matches to play. In this, the playoffs to get into the group stage. I did say at the beginning of the series that the group stage in this first season was a minimum. I know the board really didn't care about it all that much, but I wanted to try and get to the group stage because it equaled extra money. And after the first leg, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say it was all wrapped up. We defeated HJK 6-0 at home. Sacco getting a brace, Antonio with a brace, Marky Noble with a goal, and Joey O'Brien adding to the tally in the 88th minute. We prevented HJK from getting a single shot on target, which meant an easy day at the back for Adrian. And everybody else in front of him, no worse than an 8-5. So, great contribution all around from the defense to the forwards. And to be honest with you, I really want this type of production going forward in the domestic league. I mean, if we can take out teams in the Europa League, and HJK is no slouch, they are one of the Finland's best teams. But if we can continue this performance domestically, we should start seeing some wins come forth. But as I said, this tie was pretty much wrapped up after the first leg, making the second one pretty much null and void. And we basically went through the formalities here in the second leg. It was a 2-all draw, which put it at 8-2 on aggregate. Ogbonna and Victor Moses, our goal scorers. 19 shots on target. 19 shots taken with only 5 of them on target. I want to try and condense that ratio a little bit, because that's almost a 4-to-1 shots taken to 1 on target. And while I'm glad that we are getting the shots off, I'd like it if they were a little closer to the net, if they would be actually on target. But with this victory, we were able to get an extra £1.7 million into the bank, and that helped us out in the transfers, which I'll get to after I'm done with this Europa League recap. So in the group draw, we've drawn into Group E, with AZ from Netherlands, Napoli from Italy, and Asteris Triplis from Greece. And we've already played one match in the Europa League, a 1-all draw at home against Napoli. And quite honestly, this was a very, very lucky draw, as our only shot on target was a Marky Noble penalty just as the second half was kicking off. Right there, 46th-minute Mark Noble penalty, getting us on the board first. However, Jose Callahan from Napoli knotted it up just 5 minutes later. And to be quite honest with you, Napoli had the better day, as they consistently got into our attacking third and made shots happen. 18 shots total, 7 of them on target. I felt that they could have taken this match all the way if they really wanted to. If they wanted to take all 3 points, I felt like they had it in their grasp. Meanwhile, on our side, we continue to have shooting struggles. Yes, we may have had 14 on target. We may have had 14 shots total, but that 1 on target is very worrisome. Hopefully going forward against AZ and Triplis, we can get all 3 points in those 4 matches. The group isn't defined by one match, and I feel that we can still come away as the second place team in the group. If we can get out of the group, extra money for us, but of course the Europa League isn't my highest priority right now. My highest priority is to try and better myself in the league. And I feel that with the transfers in and out, we may be a little bit closer to pushing ourselves back up the table. So let's take a look at the transfers. So this is what our transfers look like. I know a lot of outs and a lot of loans on the outs, but the one guy that we were able to sell away was the big striker Andy Carroll. He went to Monaco for £8.25 million. Now, I know that he is or was the centerpiece of this strike force for West Ham, but at the same time, he is very injury prone, and I did not want to continue risking him on the squad and get him continuously injured and not be of any use. So I was able to sell him away to Monaco. Actually, Wigan and Watford wanted to come in for him as well, but I didn't want to sell to an English team just in case that would turn around and bite us in the ass later on. So away he went to Monaco, and I got a nice sum of £8.25 million to turn around and then spend on 2 players that I feel could definitely help the side. And those 2 players are Alberto Pelosi from Chievo and Sven Bender from Dortmund. Let's take a look at Pelosi first. The 25-year-old striker from Italy, definitely a solid pickup. Yes, he may not be as tall as Andy Carroll, but he does have better attacking stats, and I think he's pretty much on the same pace and physicality as Andy was. Taking a look at his physicals, he had a 15 pace, 16 agility, 14 acceleration, and none of his other physicals are lower than an 11, which is good. He's got great mental abilities, and taking a look at his attacking stats, 14 finishing, 12 first touch, 12 technique. This guy can definitely play the advanced forward role to a T. And what I want to do is I want to try and institute Alberto Pelosi and Diafra Sacco together, try and get a strike force going, because I think Sacco up front alone isn't really cutting it. We need to have a second player up there that can help bang in the goals, and I think Pelosi is the guy to do it. And then, of course, the other player we brought in, Sven Bender, for £6.5 million. The 6'1" German, definitely a solid center mid, and he can play the defensive mid to a T as well. Absolutely excellent mental attributes, and taking a look at his defensive stats, a 16 marking, 18 tackling, and a 14 positioning to go along with his great work rate and teamwork. This guy can do it all, pretty much, except for attack. But I'm not going to be using him as an attacker. I want to try and use him to be that rock in the midfield so that the attacking players won't get through and try to cut out any passes from the opposition and then turn it around and help push forward our own attack. But with the inclusion of Sven Bender, that meant I needed to terminate one of my loans, and it was either going to be Christopher Ayer or Yuri Tielemans, and it eventually turned out to be Yuri Tielemans just because the amount I was paying him per month. Getting rid of his loan allowed me to bring in Sven Bender. So Yuri Tielemans out, Sven Bender in. That may not be the most ideal, getting rid of an attacking player for a defensive player, but we have defensive woes, and I think Sven Bender can help alleviate them. That pretty much wraps up what's been happening over the last month. Let's get into our first match, AFC Bournemouth. Now, with the inclusion of Pelosi, I figured it was best to go back to the bog standard 4-4-2 and have those nice two strikers up front and have competent wingers on the side to help push the ball forward. So here's what the lineup's going to look like today versus Bournemouth. Adrian's going to be in net, Jenkinson, Reed, Tompkins, and Cresswell along the back line. Our mid four will consist of Antonio, Kouyate, Obiang, and Moses, and sitting up front, Pelosi and Diafra Sakho. We finally found some points in the last match in the league. Let's see if we can continue that on against Bournemouth. So let's kick off and see what happens. Throw in, 1 minute in, Antonio getting it into Tompkins and Winston Reed. Not even a minute in, and West Ham are up 1-0. That was a great throw-in from Antonio. It found Tompkins' head and eventually went to Winston Reed. Let's take a look at that again. Actually, before we even get to that, let's instead of go to Pro Zone, let's get a close view at this, just so you guys can actually see that. I took a look at the video from last time, and it did look a bit far out, so let's bring it back in so you guys can see this goal. Good long throw into Tompkins, heads it through to Reed. Oh, on the volley, he didn't even head it in, he just struck it home with his left foot. Free kick to Cresswell. We get it in the box, and Diafra Sakho. It didn't even touch a single Bournemouth player. It fell to Sakho, and he makes it 2-0 to West Ham. 32 minutes in. Let's take a look at this free kick. It didn't even touch a single Bournemouth player. It fell to Sakho's feet. Great goal. Doubles the lead. Now Bournemouth get themselves a corner. Good clearance away. Obiang to Pelosi. Pelosi tried to slip it through to Sakho, but no, not even close. So we come up to halftime 2-0, and everything's looking pretty good right now. Defensively, a little bit of worry here and there, but overall not that bad. Kouyate looks to be the worst for wear in terms of fitness. I'll let him go for a little bit, and hopefully he doesn't get injured, but he may be the first one being subbed out. 4 minutes into the half, and Bournemouth are coming forward with a pretty decent attack, passing through Callum Wilson with the shot, but Adrian, good save. Concedes the corner, though. Bournemouth not going quietly into the Knights, but Adrian with a good save again. And like I said, Kouyate is going to be the first one coming out. I know he's been doing fairly well with a 7-5, but I think we need to bring someone on. And Marky Noble's going to come on for Kouyate, and I think he's fine as a ball-winning mid. He's actually better as an advanced playmaker, but I'll leave him be. I'll leave him be right now. Throwing for us. Jenkinson, try to get it through. Kouyate. Sub hasn't happened yet. Obiang. Being mugged off by two guys. Kouyate. Kouyate has to track backwards. Pelosi. Trying to find a good pass. Victor Moses into Pelosi. Pelosi off the post. Oh, I thought he would have had a nice debut goal. Free kick. Mark Noble coming up on 62 minutes, and there it is. Pelosi with a debut goal. It's 3-0 to West Ham, and we're absolutely bossing this match. Maybe simplicity is the better tactic here. Simplicity is the better way. 4-4-2 has been running wild. Alright, with 20 minutes left, I'm going to make my final two subs. Winston Reed is actually going to be coming out for Ogbonna. And Pedro Obiang. It's either going to be Obiang or Moses. Now that I look at it, it's going to be Obiang, and Sven Bender's going to come in for him. Can he play ball wing mid? He's actually not. Actually, I'll switch the sides. Sven Bender can play the ball-winning mid the best. Can Mark Noble be a box-to-box? Yeah, we'll let that go. 10 minutes left, and Bournemouth have the ball, and they, like I said, are not going quietly into the night. They still have some good passing attacks, some good passing movement. Going out to the wing. Missed tackle from Jenkinson. They get it in to King, and King gets one back for Bournemouth. Josh King gets rid of the clean sheet that was being held up by the defense. Adrian can't stop that. And Bournemouth, at home, getting one back. But still 10 minutes left. Can we hold them down? Oh boy, 1 minute to go, and Bournemouth still coming forth in an attack. Callum Wilson across, and Callum Wilson far post. It is Bournemouth 2, West Ham 3, and the defense all of a sudden is now collapsing. 2 goals within the last 9 minutes, and I don't know how much time is going to be on the stoppage, but we need to close them down for the rest of this match. It's looking really scary here. 2 minutes added time. And with 20 seconds to go, Callum Wilson with a wild shot, and we should be able to preserve this victory. It's Bournemouth 2, West Ham 3. That's 2 wins in a row in the league. It was very, very shaky there at the end, but overall, it was a decent performance. So that win sees us up into 14th place, and that's where we will stay for the time being. And to be honest with you, I think we're going to change things up on the fly. I know we got to a lot of things at the very beginning that may have cut into our time, but I'm going to forego the Capital One Cup today. Like I said before, I want to just focus on the league, and I think that is what we're going to do. So in the future, I'm going to be cutting it down to 1 match per episode, and it'll probably be like a month, maybe a month plus in between matches, and I'll start each episode off with a recap of all the matches in the past, any other dealings that would have happened on, any other injuries, all leading up to the match that we're going to be playing today. So a little bit of a format change early on. Hopefully you guys like it. If you have any other ideas, please in the comment box below. But this is the only match we're going to be playing today, and I believe next match we should come back. I honestly think that Newcastle is the more winnable match between Newcastle and Liverpool. So when we come back, it'll be us versus Newcastle at St. James Park. So until that time, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. I know you were expecting 2 matches this time around, but like I said, made a call on the fly. If you like what you saw, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, comments, suggestions, questions, anything else, especially do you want to see this format continue on in the future, please leave in the comment box below. But as always, this is Gendo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and peace out.